Morning, this is Brian. Today is Tuesday, January 30th, 2024, and I'm here parked at the Penny Pines Trailhead here on Sunrise Highway, San Diego County S1, here in Cleveland National Forest. Today, my plan is to finally get back to Garnet Peak, which this is one of the major trailheads leading to Garnet Peak. So all I need to do is just get onto the PCT and start working my way up. But in addition to Garnet Peak, I'm planning on climbing some of the nearby random peaks as well. How many I get to depends on how far I'm willing to go, because there are at least 6 peaks, Garnet Peak being the main one, but there are at least 5 other sub-peaks in the area. And that stretches from here at the Penny Pines Trailhead all the way to just south of Pioneer Mail. I mapped them out on Google Earth. One thing I did not do is map out the mileage. That's the one thing. So right now, until I map it out later, after my hike, I'm not exactly sure how many miles this is going to be. But if I were just to go to Garnet Peak and back, I believe it would be a little under 4 miles. Pretty overgrown over here. I wonder if I'm even on the trail right now. Interesting. Keep losing the trail. I don't even know if this is it right here. So, yeah, the trail's pretty indistinct over here. I might actually be off trail. PCT is usually pretty easy to follow. So I'm going to be taking the PCT to the Garnet Peak Trail. I think I'm off trail already. Now, there will be an element of off-trail hiking, purposeful off-trail hiking, to get to the sub-peaks. My first peak of the day should be peak 5680. Should be up there, actually. However, I think I'm off the trail because it ends over here. So I'm going to have to look around and see if I can find it. It's kind of weird. I think I'd be losing the trail already. I've done this peak. I've done Garnet Peak before. This was almost 8 years ago to the day, February 6, 2016. And I remember not having this issue finding the trail. So I'm going to have to go back and see if I can find it. Unless it's actually getting overgrown, but the PCT is usually pretty well maintained. So here we go. Here's a trail right here. Alright. I was thinking to myself already, it's too early for that. At least I think this is it. Yeah, everywhere I go, it seems like the trail gets lost. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure this out. So I'm back at the parking area. started going up that way, right past the Penny Pines sign. Here's the PCT right here. There's no way the PCT should be that indistinct. I mean, there are spots occasionally I've hiked where the PCT is slightly indistinct, but for the most part, PCT should be pretty easy to follow. One time I remember hiking in the San Gabriel Mountains above what was it? It was near the Chilau area. It was above Sulphur Springs campground along the PCT. There were some rocky areas that were slightly indistinct, but for the most part easy to follow. Yeah, see, this is much better. What I should be doing, I believe, is rounding the backside of that there, which is peak 5680, and then hitting a fire break or something, or breach in the chaparral to Garnet Peak. So we're hitting a breach in the chaparral to the peak there. Pretty sure there will be some bushwhacking and wading involved to get to these sub peaks, because they are completely off trail, and as you can see here, the chaparral is getting quite big again. So we'll see how this works out today. At the very least, Garnet Peak, and there's a sub peak, peak 5663, which is just south of Garnet Peak. That offers a pretty good Storm Canyon viewpoint. So you get some pretty good viewpoints when we get to towards the crest. So that right now, peak 5680 is my first goal of the day, and we'll see how that goes. All right, I think I might have found a fire break. I think if I head this way, I can get to peak 5680. See, this is the PCT right here. I remember on this hike when I did nearly 8 years ago, is kind of went around. You get some insane views of Blair Valley, the Vallecitos Mountains. You get some good views of some of the other Anza-Borrego Desert State Park valleys as well. But I'm gonna take this fire break here. I'm gonna take this. Take this up and see if I can take this up to peak 5680. Maybe this will lighten some of the bushwhacking. We'll see. All right. So when you're here, take the time to appreciate some of the really sick views right here towards Storm Canyon. Looks like the fire break, or whatever the heck that was, is coming to an end. So it's just going to be up to me to follow a breach in the chaparral to the peak. Alright. Might be up there already. I haven't climbed super high though, so we'll see. See how this goes. Now the wading begins. Wading as in pushing through the chaparral. I'm going to try to stick to as much of the weakness in the chaparral as I can. So we'll see. Just take a little bit of route finding. Doesn't look like the bushwhacking will be insanely hard, especially considering the fact that The chaparral is still pretty thin over here. So this should afford me a relatively mild way to get up here. So we'll see how this works out. So far, so good. Keep you posted on my progress as I climb up this. This actually seems to be a fire break now. You can see there's a little fuel break here. So, pretty interesting. There's a lot of white or woolly herba scent up here. Likes these disturbed sites here. And this is a local variant here. This is it's a variety of Areodictyon trichocalyx. This one is variety lanatum. Areodictyon trichocalyx variety lanatum. Also saw that in Colt Valley 2 weeks ago in Anza-Borrego Desert State Park when I was climbing those other peaks, especially peak 3182. When I climbed that one, there was a fair amount of it, especially near rocky sections of that hike. I guess good views opening up. This wasn't even really steep either. I don't know if this is going to be a false summit, but it's very quick work getting up here. But yeah, you're on the PCT. You'll see the fire break. Now, the fire break does kind of disappear early on, and then it reappears. Very easy getting up here, actually. Not even really that difficult finding a route. See the PCT just down there, so not even that far from it. Probably gonna go the way I came. Probably the other side of this might be denser, somewhere on a exposed sunnier slope here. I'm just about to reach the peak right now, actually. I'm almost there already. Not been out here hiking too long already. This one's actually a very direct line. So you see that where the PCT swings around the hill on the right, the fire break was on the left. Bare slight left. Slight left. All right. Just about here on the peak already. All right. I think my high point's over there. So, all right. There's a summit register up here. This must be a peak bagger peak. I think a couple of these are on peak bagger, and a few of them are not. But here we are. Peak 5680. Highest ground is over here. Yeah, there's an old summit register and a little metal post. So here we are. Summit 1 of the day. Peak 5680. It's 5,680 to 5,720 feet. Because we're talking about a 40-foot closed contour. I can see the PCT. It goes around the side of the hill, and then it winds its way over to there, and there's a use trail that goes up to that. That's peak 5663. So there's actually a side trail that goes to that peak right there. That'll be my second peak of the day. And of course there's massive granite and everything there on awesome Garnet Peak, which will be my third or fourth peak of the day. Because this one here, there's a small mound. Not this one, but down here is a small mound. That's, I think, peak 54, 14. Let me think for a second. I wrote down the peak elevations. It's peak 55, 52. So I'm not looking at that one. This one here, that's the smaller one, is peak 55, 52. The one behind it, that's peak 56, 61. That would be the next peak after Garnet if I go all the way over there. And then there's a mountain, not the ones back there. That looks like peak 57. That's peak 56. Another peak 5680. I did that one in November 2022. But below it is peak 5480. So if I go all the way that far, which is a possibility today, that would possibly be my sixth peak of the day. So right now I'm just gonna do the main viewfinder on Garnet Peak, so I don't end up making this a 3.5 hour video. So I'm just going to do a quick 360. I'm going to start out looking east. North. West. South. And swing it back out to the east towards Whale Peak right there in the center, in the background. All right, so now I'm going to go work my way back to the Pacific Crest Trail. I think I'm just going to try to do a direct descent, probably down this way. The chaparral looks very thin, so I'll probably be able to meet the PCT over there, and then my next peak will be peak 5663. And I've been on that peak before when I did my hike to Garnet Peak back in 2016, but I don't have any video because I wasn't recording video back then. I documented on this website called Peakery. That's a website where you can log your trip reports of the peaks and everything, and pretty cool. But I haven't logged. I was having difficulty on trying to log my last climb to Pacifico Mountain back in 2022, so I kind of stopped using it. But I do have a trip report for Garnet Peak. All right, I'm going to start working my way over towards the PCT. Forgot to take my summit selfie. Oh, yeah, this is very easy terrain here. Very open. Very easy to get through this so far. It's almost like there's a very open here. So yeah, I had to take my summit selfie about 50 yards away from the summit. Since today's going to be a multi-peak day, I ended up throwing up my fingers, indicating what what peak number of the day it is. And today I failed to do that on the summit, so I came down a little ways, took my post-summit selfie with the first finger, my index finger, indicating it was my first summit of the day. So let's see here. It's very open country up here. Not even very much wading. Just a few spots here and there. This is pretty easy terrain. I'm not expecting this to be an extremely difficult hike. Again, I'm not sure how long this is going to be. But I'm not expecting this to be an extremely strenuous hike. Again, there's my next goal right there, peak 5663. But I will imagine on the way back, if I make it all the way to peak 5480, way out there near Pioneer Mail, then that will definitely up the difficulty factor a little bit, because I'll have to probably walk at least a portion of the day along Sunrise Highway in an uphill direction, which I don't think will be extremely steep, but will make things a little more difficult because I'll have to walk along the highway to make a loop out of this, unless I want to go. Well, I don't know. Maybe I will swing back on the PCT, just so I don't have to move it along the Sunrise Highway with all the 55, 65 mile per hour traffic. That's, I think, would probably make it. So it might be a little more difficult, you know, hoofing it over up and down all along the PCT, but it'll probably be better than highway hoofing. So I'm not a big fan of. Have to do it if I really want to do some of the hikes I want to do, but yeah, try to be good on that. Okay, this is a little more of a wade here, but it's not a true bushwhack. I can see where the PCT is, so I'm getting closer to it. So I'm going to try to angle my way here a little bit better so I can snag it before having to go through that little swale there. So I'll see ya. Okay, I'm just about to rejoin the PCT, head up towards my next objective. I can see the PCT right here. Just a little bit of wading through some brush, but no true bushwhacking. So I'm right back on trail now. So now what I got to do is work my way. As you can see, the PCT goes along this side of this ridge here, and then you can see it kind of climbs up near that rocky outcropping, and there's going to be a use trail, actually well-defined trail that makes its way up to 5663. And what I remember, like on Garnet Peak, there's some pretty darn good views up there. Pretty darn good views. Yeah, there were pretty good views up there on peak 5680. So that right there is the third peak 5680 I've hiked here in the Lagunas. First one was Garnet Mountain, and that's separate from Garnet Peak. Garnet Mountain is behind that right there, which is also peak 5680. So behind that is Garnet Mountain over there. That's peak 5680. Garnet Mountain is also 5,680 to 5,720 feet. So that's the third peak 5680 I've climbed here in the Lagunas, and they're all so close together. It's kind of funny in a way. It's cool, but it's also funny. You think about it. I seem to have a thing about a peak that's 5,680 to 5,720 feet in elevation. All right, so Chaparral Whitethorn here on the side of the PCT. Ceanothus leucodermis. And of course, common chamise here at Mount Laguna grows up basically to the highest elevations of the lagunas. Wouldn't be surprised if it's found on Cuyapipe at 6,378. So it does grow well above 6,000 feet here in the lagunas. Yeah, here in Southern California, I've seen chamise as high as basically 6,700 feet. And that's in along the Pacific Crest Trail, north of Lion Peak in the San Jacinto Desert Divide. So it looks like I should be able to cover a lot of ground pretty quickly today. Hey, getting up to peak 5680 was less than a half, well, it was about a half an hour affair. Because at the beginning of my hike, I missed the PCT, looking around for it. So, but if that hadn't happened, I would have been up there in 20 minutes, maybe even less. Very direct line of ascent, and slightly less, pretty direct, almost pretty direct descent. So yep, I'm gonna be heading up to that one next, and I'll see you along the way for more updates on this beautiful hike. I wonder what kind of bird that is. At least I should have the call very clearly on my camera. It's got a white breast, kind of dark head. Can't really see a lot of detail, but I'll have to cross-reference some stuff. Maybe look at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology site and see if I can figure that out. Trying to learn as much about other aspects of my hike as well. Trying to learn as many things as I can about the world I enjoy hiking. So I'll see if I can get an ID on that bird. All right, so I'm here along the ridge. I just took a little short detour to look at this little overlook. Storm Canyon. Just look how rugged this is. How incredible is that? One of these days, I gotta see if there's a way I can hike up Storm Canyon. I was looking at cross-country routes on Google Earth as possible research points for climbing up Storm Canyon. I found one way that involves climbing up one of these ridges. See, Storm Canyon Mountain, there's a peak called Storm Canyon Mountain. It's an unofficial name. It's about 3,902 feet. And that should be it right there, actually. That should be Storm Canyon Mountain. I've seen Peak Bagger trip reports cutting across from Highway S2 down on the desert floor to get up there. I was even looking at routes to try to get over there on Storm Canyon Mountain and then work my way. I don't think it's this ridge. I think it might be the ridge behind it that leads straight up to peak 5952 or 5958 right there. And then I can hike all the way up to Monument Peak, which would be a really long and very strenuous hike. Probably with well over 6,000 feet of elevation gain. I don't know if that's going to happen. I know a lot of the routes are and a lot of the cross-country routes are probably plugged with private in-holdings, so that would be a really difficult thing to do, I believe. I know there's a county park. It's near Agua Caliente. I forget the name of it. I don't know if it's Vallecitos or something county park. It could be a potential start. It could be a potential ascent route. I'm just trying to map out more challenging outings for the future. So I don't know. We'll see. Well, shouldn't be that much longer before I'm on peak 5663. And then Garnet should be my third or fourth peak of the day, depending on if I do that 5,500 foot one nearby. So I'll see you along the way. So I'm approaching 5663. So I remember seeing a trail heading up in that direction. Did I? I don't think I missed any turn. I thought, confused here. Hope I didn't miss the turnoff. I'd be disappointed if I did. May as well have to backtrack or hit it on the way out, which kind of wanted to hit it now. It's supposed to be up here somewhere. So I remember there was a use trail getting up there, but I didn't. Maybe I missed it. Oh, well, let me see. I mean, Garnet Peak is just over there, but I'm trying to get up to this peak over here. I can see the Garnet Peak Trail down there. You can see it kind of looks like a fire break or something in the little canyon bottom. I think I might have missed the use trail to get up to this peak here. I think I did. I hope I didn't. Well, let me take a look and see if I see anything branching off to the right. I'll see about that hopefully momentarily. Appear to be at a junction of trails. So I've been coming over this, going downhill for a while. And I guess that's the PCT switchbacking over there. Let me see what's going on here. I think I missed the use trail to get up to peak 5663. I believe I have. Well, that's kind of disappointing. Because it's an actually very well-defined trail. So I'm either going to have to go cross-country, or I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to backtrack. Because it looks like there's a switchback over here. I was thinking, okay, maybe this is the use trail. So I've been coming along this for a while, and somehow I missed a trail getting up there. So I guess I'm going to have to back up. Here's the switchback. Looks like the PCT is going to go worm its way down. I can see a continuation of the trail down there as it goes down towards that little drainage. So I guess I'm going to have to backtrack a little bit. Kind of hoping to get up there via trail. So I guess I'm going to end up getting a little extra mileage. So we'll see. I'll try to figure this out. I would like to get up there via trail. I like to use the trail as much as I can and go off trail only when I'm trying to get to a quick side peak climb. I really don't know how I missed this. This is the trail I was looking at. This is the use trail to the peak. So it was right past this little jagged ridge line right here at the Storm Canyon precipitous view. Here, I guess I just didn't see it. I didn't see it because the chamise here was kind of blocking the view of it. I guess that's how I missed it. But I remember looking at this trail from back there thinking, yeah, it looks like it's the one that leads up to the peak. And then I kept going and going along the PCT thinking, how come I'm not seeing that trail? How come I'm on the back side of the hill and I'm not seeing the trail? So, all right, so this is the use trail up to the lookout point here at peak 5663. So I'll go ahead and see you when I'm basically there. All right, so I'm nearing the summit of Peak 5663. Should be here very, very soon. All right, just about seconds away from peak number 2 of the day. All right, looks like the high point is going to be a little bit of a short jaunt along here. Almost there. Let's get to that rock over there. Should be it. All right, here's a little bit better of a route over here. It's a little mini use trail right here. Should take me right to the summit. Wherever that rock is in the middle of the frame, should be it. Okay. I didn't want to miss this peak. It's a pretty cool peak. I was here once before, a long time ago. All right. I wonder if there's going to be a register up here too. First time I was here, I don't know if I came this far or not, but I was in the area. Let's see. Look around for a summit register. Just out of curiosity. Just looking around to see. Just out of curiosity. Not that a summit register is a requirement for me to want to climb a peak, especially because of all the random peaks I climb. So it's not a prerequisite for me in any stretch, but yeah, this is Peak 5663 here. I don't know if I came this far the first time. I might have stopped where the trail ended, or where the more followable easy trail ended. Let's see here. Try to get up here on the rock. I see a marker. There must have been a summit register at some point here. Must have been. All right, quick little scramble. Here we are, Peak 5663, here in the Laguna Mountains, Cleveland National Forest. Another fun adventure here in San Diego County. And yes, the Storm Canyon views are magnificent. We do have this rocky crag here that kind of juts out a little bit, but got some pretty good views up here. Right back to Peak 5680. So there must have been a summit register at some point, because I saw a Sharpie in between the cracks of this rock. Wow! I'm gonna have to position myself so I can do a quick 360. Again, the main viewpoint, the main place where I'm going to be pointing out views is going to be up there on Garnet, which is my next objective. So let's start looking west. South. East again towards Whale Peak. North towards Garnet Mountain. And swinging it back around to the west. So, yeah. I don't know if I came all the way up here, though. I know I came pretty close. Maybe I did. It was almost 8 years ago. But yeah, this is a cool little peak. And here, getting closer to 5,700 feet, we still got sugar sumac or sugar bush up here. Russo Vada, right here near the summit. So this general area is the highest elevation I have ever seen sugar bush. I've mentioned in other videos, I've seen sugar bush, a small stunted sugar bush, on the top of Garnet Peak, so I wonder if it's still there. I'm going to definitely go check that out. But I'm going to go ahead and work my way back to the trail and see you towards Garnet, unless I do the 5,500 foot peak nearby sooner. But till then, I'll see you when I'm back at the PCT. All right, back at the PCT. So I'm not going to bother counting the backtracking I did to get back here. I'm not going to count that in the mileage of my hike. That was probably about a quarter of a mile at most. But yes, this is where you're going to be coming from if you want to do this peak. You're going to see this little rock line here delineating the PCT. And then you might have to look a little carefully, but right here you'll see a use trail that winds up there, curls around, and then it gets up towards the about 95% of the way up, and then there'll be a very narrow pathway between the shrubs to get near the one summit rock. And it's just a quick class 2 hop on a rock, and that's about it. So now I'm heading right northbound on the PCT, start heading north towards Garnet now. So there's Garnet and Peak 5552. I'm debating which one I should hit first. I will have a better idea of when I'm near the saddle of the two. I might go for 5552. Again, that's the one here in the foreground, not these higher ones back there, but the small hill in the foreground. That's 5552. So I'm gonna go ahead and worm my way around this, and I'll keep you posted, see if there are any surprising botany finds. I know I'm not botanizing quite as much, but I'm sure I'll fit some in. I'm just really in a peak hiking mood today. It's just feeling good to be out here climbing peaks again. But as for botany, pale silk tassel, Garret flavescens, right up here on the PCT, heading towards Garnet Peak. So I'm back at that switchback where I thought I might find the use trail, which I didn't when I went this way earlier before backtracking. So yeah, you get to this portion here right before Garnet Peak right there. You see this? Curve around this way, it's a switchback. And it's going to start jutting around a little bit, and it's going to go downhill a little ways down into this little swale. And then it'll start working its way towards the saddle between 55-52, which is now more in the foreground. And there's some coulter. Look, some coulter pines near the base of Garnet Peak. So, okay, get a little conifer action. Obviously, when you drive up here from Interstate 8, you'll come through a lot of Jeffrey pine action on the way up here when you're driving. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. So we'll get a little coulter pine action, looks like near the base of Garnet Peak. So, see you along the way. So as I'm hiking, I've been doing a little thinking about Garnet Peak and how it just jettisons out from all this gently rolling terrain, hilly terrain, and then boom, you get this really rugged peak here that just basically juts out right over the desert. And it kind of reminds me of another peninsular mountain in Baja. Now, I've never been hiking in Baja, California. There's this peak in the Sierra San Pedro Martir called Picacho. It's Picacho del Diablo. The highest peak in the Sierra de San Pedro Martir at a little over 10,000 feet. Now, I've seen pictures of it. I've seen pictures of it and video of it. But I've obviously never been there, so I'm not doing this from personal experience. But Garnet Peak kind of reminds me of a microcosm of that, because Picacho del Diablo seems to jut out like this, kind of like Garnet Peak does. Or should I say Garnet Peak juts out like Picacho del Diablo does. And has this really rugged granite cliff face that jettisons out over the over the Baja California Norte desert on the Transmontane side, or the east side of the range. So that's what this kind of reminds me of, seeing pictures of Picacho del Diablo. If anybody who seems to, or anybody who happens to catch this video has had experience hiking Picacho del Diablo or being near it, drop a comment and let me know if Garnet Peak does remind you of that. Because for some reason it kind of reminds me of Picacho del Diablo. It's a very jagged, very rugged peak that just seems to jut out of much gentler terrain and then just drops precipitously down towards the desert. So this seems like a microcosm of it. Of course, that peak is probably 4,300 feet higher. It's a little over 10,000 feet. And Garnet Peak is 5,880, almost exactly, I believe, but it's counted as being 5,880 to 5,920. On Google Earth, I scroll the cursor over Garnet Peak, and it's almost exactly 5,880 according to that. Of course, Google Earth is not always 100%. Sometimes it's a little off, but interesting thing, just the point of my story is, or the point of my talk, is that this kind of reminds me of images I've seen of Picacho del Diablo. So if you have any experience with that, let me know if it reminds you of that or if I'm just tripping. But right there is peak 5552, and I'm now going to be deciding whether to hit that first or to hit Mighty Garnet. So obviously I'll keep you posted and we'll see what happens. Alright, so looking at peak 5552, from this side, it looks like it'd be a total bushwhack. The chaparral there is a lot thicker. It's not this usual wading stuff found in the area. It looks like the fires from the recent decades maybe didn't do as much damage to the east side of the peak. So unless I can find a good fire break, I think I'm going to go for Garnet as my hat trick, my third hike of the day, or third peak of the day. So if I can find a way up there, it'd be nice to get up there. But from this side, I might actually have to use the Garnet Peak Trail, I think, if it comes through this way. But yeah, we got some coulter pines growing here now. Very nice. Nice to see. Very nice. Beautiful, young, healthy, already bearing cones. These trees are not very old at all. I'd be surprised if these trees are 20 years old or less. Alright, so now I'm going to be looking for the Garnet Peak Trail. I'm guessing Garnet's going to be my third peak of the day. I thought the Garnet Peak Trail came from over there, but I might be mistaken. Yeah, I'm still on the PCT right now. If I remember correctly, I did see a sign when I was on the Garnet Peak Trail, which is this right here. So this is where the Garnet Peak Trail, it does come from over there. Okay. So again, for 5552, looking from here, that's a total bushwhack. That does not look too promising from there. So I'm just going to go ahead and head up to Garnet Peak. This is going to be the steepest portion of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and start climbing up the Garnet Peak Trail now. Garnet Peak Trail goes right to Sunrise Highway if you want a very direct way to get up here. A much shorter hike. But like me, I'm trying to get multiple peaks in, so I'm taking a definitely pretty popular way to get up here, but definitely a little bit less direct. And I'll see you on the way up there. This is where it starts getting steep. Alright, so I'm working up the Garnet Peak Trail. Definitely the steepest hiking of the day so far. Ready to do that. Done this peak before. Definitely well above that hill there, peak 55, 52. And I think right there, not the background, the foreground, should be peak 56, 61. There's supposed to be another small peak behind it, peak 5480. There's a little mounded promontory there. That looks like it might be a quick little visit. It could be a quick little visit. We'll see. We'll see. Just working my way up this. Made quite a bit of elevation gain already. I think I'm above 5,700 feet. Because 56, 61 is noticeably below me. So, final summit push should be appearing soon. Part of the trail's pretty rocky, so just watch your step. Alright, I'll keep you posted. I see my trail continues side hilling the peak up that way. So, keep you posted on my progress. Views are opening up, and they're just going to keep getting better. I know I haven't been doing much of this yet today, but it's time for me to botanize a little something here. So here I am, getting closer and closer to the summit of Garnet Peak. So I'm probably close to 5,800 feet. Maybe 5,750, maybe. And another high elevation southern coast live oak, Quercus agrifolia variety oxyadania, here on the side of the Garnet Peak Trail. It looks like a scrub oak to me. When I saw it from about 15 yards away, I was thinking, oh, an interior live oak. This interior live oak regularly grows up above this elevation as well. No, this is a southern coast live oak. Convex shaped leaves, predominantly fuzzy undersides. Yeah, this is a Quercus agrifolia variety oxyadania near the summit of Garnet Peak. So this would probably be the second highest elevation I've ever seen coast live oak. So there's one shrub, right when you get past this little crag here. One small shrubby coast live oak. Very interesting. I figured I had to point that out. I mean, for the most part, we're coming through the usual suspects. Eastwood manzanita, interior live oak, shrub interior live oak, common chamise, excuse me, Parish golden bush, and a bunch of others. Couple-leaf ceanothus, scrub oaks. But yeah, that's a southern coast live oak, Quercus agrifolia variety oxydania. Second highest elevation I've seen it. The first highest elevation I've seen it was about the elevation of Garnet Peak, but It was along Thing Valley Road in the more southern part of the lagunas, along Thing Valley Road at about 5,880 feet. So that qualifies as my second highest Coast Live Oak sighting. I'm waiting for the day. I know I always seem to be obsessed about finding low elevation plants above 6,000 feet. That's a weird obsession of mine. That's just what it is. But I'm waiting for the day where I come across a Coast Live Oak at 6,000 feet. The Lagunas would be a likely place to find it. So definitely keeping my sights out to find that eventually. And also sugar bush too. Finding that at 6,000 feet is a goal of mine. I had somebody a couple of years ago comment about finding it well above 6,000 feet in Arizona, because it does grow in portions of Arizona as well. And this person told me it was at 6,500 feet. So that's pretty cool to see that. All right. So a little bit of ways to go. Not much, I don't think. Should be coming up to the craggy heights pretty soon. So I'll see you just before I get to the peak. All right, so we're coming up to likely the steepest part of the hike. I know there's some maybe very mild scrambling. This is where the steepest part begins, as we're getting closer to the actual peak of Garnet. All right, just want to at least give you an idea. This final summit push is definitely a little bit of a summit push. Very cool. I like this craggy nature of this peak. It's a very rugged peak. Huh. It's a type of current. I wonder if that's Ribes indecorum, this high up. It might be white flower currant. I think that's what this is. Looks like it. I didn't think it would grow this high in elevation. I've seen it in Anza Borrego doing peak 3182. All right. So very soon I should be coming up on the last little bit, and I'll catch you there. All right. So this is where the little bit of scrambling happens here. Oh boy. Little class 2. Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to botanize a little up here when the time comes. So, just about here. Let's see. Making sure. I think this is it. I believe we're just about here. All right. All right. This is it. Third peak of the day. Garnet Peak, 5,880 feet. This is it. All right. I forgot how vertiginous it is from here, how beautiful it is. So I am on Garnet Peak, my second time here. 5,880 feet. Very nice. Very nice. I don't think there's a benchmark up here, I don't think. But this is one of the more rugged peak climbs here in the Laguna Mountain Range. Not the highest. There are a good few of them that are higher, but this one sure is rugged and beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful hikes when it comes to peak climbing here in the Laguna Mountains. So yeah, you can see that's one of the sub peaks there, and there's another sub peak there that you can see. But here we are, Garnet Peak. I guess it's time for me to start pointing out views. I want to take my summit selfie. I'm going to remember to take it on the summit this time. And we'll start talking about some of the views here. Alright, so where am I going to start? There's a lot to point out up here, believe me. Alright, so I'm going to start by looking towards the south. So looking towards the south, I'm going to start by looking at Wooded Hill right there at 6,223 feet. That's in the center, that kind of double mounted peak there. Then I'm going to swing around. You can see here that over there is peak 6299, Cleveland National Forest high point. It's a hike I did back in June of last year. And then there is the high point of the Lagunas, not in Cleveland National Forest though. That is Cuyapaipe Mountain at 6,378 feet. And then, a little closer at hand, on the right side with the little ball on top of it, that's Stevenson Peak, which is off limits to the public. Then you got the little mound in the center. The little mound there is Hayes Peak at 6,180 plus. And then there at center frame now is Monument Peak at 6,271 feet. Now I'm going to swing it around more towards the southeast. We're looking down towards the Sawtooth Wilderness here. The Sawtooth Wilderness and Anza-Borrego Desert State Park. And in their center frame, a couple thousand feet below us, nearly 2,000 feet below us, is Storm Canyon Mountain. And then there's that little county, there's a little ranch down there called Campbell Ranch. Try to see if I can zoom back out a little bit. And there's I don't know if that's called Vallecillos County Park, or there's a little county park down there. And then that's supposed to be Campbell Ranch down there, that square-shaped plot of land. And then you got some hills here, but there's a little rocky hill called Troutman Mountain. It's a very small hill, kind of surrounded by flat desert alluvial fan action. And then, looking a little bit further up, you can see towards the Salton Sea there in the center. Then there's Whale Peak at 5,349 feet as we're looking more east now. And then, swinging a little bit more northeast, you can get a good expanse. As I zoom out, you can pretty much see the whole Santa Rosa mountain range over there. Rabbit Peak, Toro Peak. And then I'm going to swing around a little bit more towards the north. And I'm going to zoom back a little bit more. You can see, I can see the San Jacinto mountain range, the San Bernardino Mountains with San Gorgonio. But in front of it, I believe, it looks like we got Hot Springs Mountain in the foreground below it. Way in the hazy distance is San Jacinto and San Gorgonio, and then Hot Springs Mountains in front. Then over there, the San Isidro Mountains below, between San Jacinto and Toro Peak. You can see San Isidro Mountain over there. So now we're going to swing it more northwest. Center frame, the Vulcan Mountains. And then, center frame, that ridge in the distance, that very long, relatively flat ridge, Palomar Mountain, at 6,140 feet at high point. Now I'm going to swing it around over here. So we got three peaks here in the distance. The one on the right is North Peak at 5,993. The one left of center is Middle Peak at 5,883, and that little peak there on the left, it looks like a little peak, but it's a lot more prominent when you're there. Stonewall Peak at 5,730, and there is Cuyamaca center stage. The little shelf on the right side is called Cherry Flat, and the little bump on the left shoulder, which is the south shoulder, right there center stage, is Hopashaw Peak, as we're now looking west. Now I'm going to swing it southwest, and I could see all the way out by Watai Mountain over there. Watai Mountain, that peak over there is Lions Peak. I can see Otay Mountain, that ridge way off in the distance there. That's Otay Mountain. As we're looking southwest. And then, south-southwest, I can see Los Pinos Mountain. Right there, that's Los Pinos Mountain. And right next to it, Corte Madera Mountain. And we're swinging it back to the south. Great views up here, I will tell you. Very good views. And then, of course, we really get a vertiginous view of Storm Canyon, which I don't even need to zoom. I can zoom back in. Storm Canyon and its glory. And there was the last peak that was my second peak of the day. Peak's 5663. Right there. And then that one is peak 5680. So this is my hat trick. This is my third peak of the day, up here on beautiful Garnet. So I did mention that I do have to botanize a little bit, because you probably heard me mention on this video earlier and on a few other videos in the recent past that I've been trying to find sugar bush or sugar sumac above 6,000 feet. Well, this is the peak to this day where I found it at the highest elevation I've ever seen it. And there are a couple of them here. So I'm going to show you. So I am biding my time to when I find this plant above 6,000 feet. So here's one stunted specimen right here of sugar bush, Rusovata. So that's it right there. That's one of them. There's actually at least another one on the other side of the peak. But yes, here at almost 6,000 feet, I'm getting closer to realizing my goal of finding this plant above 6K. I don't see a summit register up here. I'm kind of surprised. All right. Let me go over to the other sugar bush. It's a little bit bigger. They're all really pretty stunted up here, but yeah, so that's sugar sumac at almost 6,000 feet. So the closest I have come to realizing my goal of finding it above 6K. Like I said, I have a weird obsession about finding lower elevation plants above 6,000 feet. It's just a weird obsession of mine. So here's another one here. Still pretty small, stunted, but definitely a little bit larger. Here's another Rusovata right here. Sugar sumac, almost 6,000 feet. I'm wondering, when I finally at least make the attempt to climb San Isidro Mountain, which is 6,147 feet, second highest peak in Anza Borrego, I'm wondering if I'll be able to finally catch it above 6K there. Because it's a mountain that's even closer to the desert than this is. And that's where I'm expecting maybe to find it. So, all right, we'll see. So what else is growing up here on Garnet Peak? There's quite a bit to see here. We got some very shrubby canyon live oaks. These are canyon live oaks, believe it or not. These are canyon live oaks, Quercus chrysolipus, forming a shrubby thicket here on the upper flanks of Garnet Peak. So this is Quercus chrysolipus. So you've seen me point out so many different forms of this plant. You've seen it as a small shrub, as you see here, stunted on these higher ramparts of Garnet Peak. and you've seen it as a gigantic oak. It's actually one of the largest species of oak on Earth. It's one of the largest species of oak in the world when it grows to its potential. And over here, it's not going to do that. It's a little too arid for it to reach potential. Now, it does grow in desert mountain ranges, but it's usually a lot shrubbier there. So what else do we have? No surprising. Birch leaf mountain mahogany, Cercocarpus betuloides, variety betuloides. Very common montane chaparral shrub. Then we got this, I believe this is a local endemic variety of Ericameria cuneata. I believe this might be variety spathulata. Double check, but I think this might be variety spathulata. Double check on that. And again, I'm believing this is white flowered currant, Ribes indicorum. I didn't realize it grew this high up. I know I did a spotlight pointing it out in the lower elevations. And then it looks like we got blue stem Kekiella, a very stunted specimen growing out of the rock here. Kekiella ternata, variety ternata. And then Parish golden bush, Ericameria parishii, variety parishii. You'll find that up to maybe a little bit above 6,000 feet. And then we got Mojave buckwheat, Eriogona fasciculatum, variety polifolium. I've seen this above 6,000 feet several times, so that's not even an issue or a surprise. Nor is finding hollyleaf redberry, Rhamnus ilicifolia. After all the time, I have failed to do a spotlight video on this, but all I want to do is I want to find a large specimen of it so I can show its potential size with fruit on it, with the red translucent berry-like fruit, which I believe is a fleshy fruit with a capsule inside and fleshy endocarp. And we do have interior live oak up here too, Quercus wislezetti, variety frutescens. And we got pale silk tassel, Garnet flavescens. And we have a subspecies of Eastwood manzanita up here. And then, of course, cupleaf ceanothus, Ceanothus perplexans. What a surprise. That plant is very common here in the Laguna Mountains. It's downright abundant. But yeah, great views, great peak, beautiful hike. A little steep coming up here, but this last summit push is the steepest part. This is the part we might have to scramble a little bit. Nothing more than very easy class 2 in a spot or two where you prop your hands up. And pinkback manzanita, Arctostaphylos pringli, subspecies drupacea. It's another common species here in the Laguna Range. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. I'm guessing peak 5661 might be my next attempt. So we'll see about that. All right, I better start moving on and see you down the way. All right, so I've left the summit behind. Now I'm at the saddle between Garnet Peak and Garnet Peak's little southwestern bump over here. I'm just going to go up here just for the heck of it, just because it's here, and it shouldn't take me long to get up here. So I'm wondering what the view will be like up here. Probably pretty similar, but with this big granite face kind of out of the way, I might be able to see more into Storm Canyon. So I'm going to go up to Garnet Peak's southwestern summit here, just for the heck of it. I'm already in the neighborhood, so I may as well take a quick glide up here, and I'm thinking this is going to be a really good decision already. All right, let's see what I find near the top of this. So I'm nearing the southwestern summit of Garnet Peak. Very short walk up here. Very little elevation gain. So here we are. The summit of Garnet Peak, southwest peak. Very small promontory, but if I migrate here to the edge, I wonder Storm Canyon should be pretty insane. There's more sugar bush up here too. Not as stunted either. Wow. There's actually several of them. We're still about 5,880. Not quite. We're still at 5,800 feet. So yeah, right there in the center, that's sugar bush, sugar sumac, rusovada. As is this bright green one in the center. That's rusovada again. There are several of them up here on this southwestern peak. So here's the actual peak over here. This one's probably like 5,830 or maybe even 5,840 feet roughly, I'm guessing. Because there's the main peak right there. There's a raven on top of there too. So that's Garnet Peak. I would consider this to be Garnet Peak Southwestern Peak. I had to make a side trip up here. I'm in a peak climbing mood. I just couldn't resist the urge. So I didn't bother resisting. And I'm glad I made it up here. And that's looking back towards peak 5663. So I'm just going to do a really quick pan south. Now we're looking east. And there's Garnet Peak center stage again. North. And the Cuyamaca Mountains right there. Swinging it back to the west. And that's Pine Mountain over there. That's Pine Mountain. 5,640 plus. Now we're swinging it back around south. Back towards Cuyamaca Mountain. Alright. So I'm going to start heading back. So yeah, there's actually quite a bit of sugar bush up here. So this is really really making me confident that I'm going to eventually find this above 6,000 feet. Probably somewhere here in San Diego County. Maybe San Isidro Mountain, maybe Combs Peak, I don't know. But yeah, there it is. There's a lot of it over here actually. So this is really increasing my confidence that I'm going to be able to find this plant above 6,000. All right, enough yapping. Time to get back to the PCT, well, the Garnet Peak Trail, and then the PCT, and move on from there. All right, so a nice chunk of the way back to the junction of the Garnet Peak Trail and the PCT, and there's peak 5552 right there ahead of me. Like I said, I'm not going to try it from this approach, from the saddle, because it looks like a very mature stand of thick chaparral over there. So that guarantees 100% guarantee of a nasty, possibly impassable bushwhack. So I am planning on taking the PCT, heading over towards at least peak 5661 to see if I can make a summit bid to that. And there's a small knoll to the east of it that might be a quick side trip as well. So I'm basically going to see you back at the Garnet Peak Trail and PCT, and I'm going to turn right and head north on the PCT. Alright, so just came from there. You can see the wooden sign denoting the Garnet Peak Trail. So now I'm back on the PCT and I'm heading northbound on the PCT. So when you get to that junction, if you want to do a hike like this, turn right at the PCT Garnet Peak Trail junction. When you're leaving Garnet Peak Trail, head this way on the PCT. Peak 5661 doesn't look super far from here. depending on how close the PCT gets to a viable route to get up there, means I should be able to make a summit bid for that. Once I get on the other side of it, then it'll probably be more difficult because the chaparral will probably be thick and denser. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll see you along the way for more updates and finds here on the PCT. All right, so I've been working on a pretty steady clip. I can actually see the Garnet Peak Trail, I think. Cut into the side, I believe, somewhere over there, I think. Yeah. So I'm kind of getting closer to Peak 5661 right over here. It looks like the trail cuts underneath it at a pretty high up on the hill, but where it cuts over there is where the chaparral is thick on the east and northeast side of it. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens. Oh, here's a nice Quercus acutidens, Torrey's hybrid scrub oak. There's quite a bit of Quercus acutidens here, and likely some Quercus cornelius muelleri. So yeah, it's a very beautiful hike. So yeah, right there is Peak 5661, and that's back towards 5552. Like I said, on my way back to the saddle between 5552 and Garnet, I might look for a route on the south facing slope of it. So I might cut down the Garnet Peak Trail towards Sunrise Highway. So when I get back to that junction, I'm most likely going to turn right and head off towards Sunrise Highway and see if I can make a summit bid at that. This here, Peak 5661, looks like, again, from this angle, does not look too promising. There's another peak, should be another peak behind it, Peak 5480. I wonder if I can at least get to that one. We'll see. There's another promontory over there, but I don't know if the PCT gets close enough to it. If it does, I'll make a run at that. Would like to get at least 5, maybe 6 peaks in today if I can. I mean, I'm only half considering the southwestern satellite summit of Garnet Peak. I'm only half considering it as a peak. But for whatever it is, whatever you consider it, it's definitely a cool vantage point. Very cool vantage point. So, all right, I'll keep you updated. I might be able to make a summit bid at that one right there. So we'll see how that goes. Might be able to get to that one. I got some brown spine prickly pear making an appearance. Puntia fiacantha making an appearance here on the side of the PCT. It's the first cactus I've seen all day. Pretty cool. But yeah, it looks like PCT, there's some kind of trail going along there. I'm assuming it's the PCT. I said, trying to get up to the peak there doesn't look too promising unless I want to really thrash through brush, which I really don't want to do. I'm trying to avoid having a bushwhack as much as I can. Waiting like I did to the first random peak, cross country to the first random peak, that was a piece of cake. But I don't want to do a full throttle bushwhack if I don't have to. So I am going to go make a bid at this little promontory here. I am going to climb that. It doesn't have a lot of prominence, but again, it is a summit, and I'm gonna make an effort to get up there. So we'll see. I'll see you at my trail departure. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave the trail again. I'm gonna go head up this way. Should be able to get to the top of this knoll without a lot of bushwhacking. So there's Garnet Peak over there. It looks so much different from this side, from the northwest side of the peak. It looks so much gentler. If you ever viewed it from Quiney Point or Pioneer Mail, that area, it looks so much gentler from there. It looks like it looks a whole lot different than it does from the south side, where it's all precipitous cliff facings. So yeah, that's up towards Garnet Peak over there. And Subsidiary Peak is up there too somewhere. So I'm gonna head up this. So I'm gonna go make it up to this promontory here. Very open territory here, so this shouldn't be too bad. And then once I get up higher up on the PCT, I'll start looking into a potential ascent to get up there. If I can find a breach, I'll go for it. If not, I'm probably not going to worry about it. All right, so I'm going to go head up to this rise here. See you there. All right, nearing the top of this one already. Oh, sorry, so you know this. All right, let's see. Just about the top of this little promontory here. All right, here I am, top of this little promontory hill here. Not very prominent, but I guess combining Garnet Peak southwestern summit with this almost counts like a full peak. Pretty cool, little 360 here, north. West towards peak 5660. South towards Wooded Hill. Southeast towards Garnet Peak. I see a couple people hiking down from the peak. And back to the east where Whale Peak is there in the center. All right. I'll get my summit selfie here on the summit. And I'm gonna probably return closer to the way I came because it looks like a bushwhack if I try to get to the PCT directly. So you can see the PCT coming through there. All right, pretty cool. Cool little promontory here. Got a nice reddish tinge to the soil here. I wonder if some of this is gabbroic based. This is like the same color. This is basically the same color as the soil is on gabbroic peaks like Guatay Mountain and Viejas Mountain. I mean, the whole area is not like it, but this one area seems to have some of that reddish soil. See, now I'm back on this little access path here. So I'm just about back. That's where I was on that mound over there. Pretty nice little perspective over there. So I should be rejoining the PCT very soon. Yeah, I guess today I have summit fever, but I also don't want to bushwhack an insane amount. So I guess my desire not to bushwhack is butting up against my summit fever. So here's a PCT. That's where I came from. Up there's Garnet, and this is where I'm heading now, heading right back to northbound on the PCT. All right, well, I'll see you. I'm going to maybe look at some routes, maybe possibly to get up there, but it looks like it's going to be a bushwhack, so I might have to go on the other side, possibly. So I think the PCT goes around it. So I'll see what happens. All right, so now we're in an area of more mature, luscious chaparral now. And this is kind of what I was looking at when I was thinking about trying to get up to peak 55, 52, was that I'd have to bushwhack through nearly tree-sized shrubs. That's very beautiful over here, though, I'll tell you that. Look at all this birch leaf mountain mahogany over here. Wow, very beautiful. And the shrubs are a lot larger. Or even a sprinkling of black oak trees. And California black oaks mixing in. So this area must have been more of a woodland. So now I'm getting ready to head up towards the eastern flank of peak 5661. So I am going to be on the lookout for a possible ascent route. Now there's another peak behind it, peak 5480. Like I said, that also remains to be seen, and we'll see what I can do, and I'll keep you obviously updated about that. But till then, see you along the way. Some of these scrub oaks are magnificent, beautiful. Look at this. This looks like Quercus acutidens. Palmer ceanothus palmeri. Pretty nice. Quite a bit of it now. And yeah, here we go. California black oaks have made an appearance. Quercus kelloggi. These are like resprouts from fires years ago. And you can see the leaf litter there. Yeah, I got some small black oaks over here now. Of course, it's winter, so they're leafless and they shed their leaves in autumn. But yeah, pretty nice, pretty nice. There's another black oak right there. Here's a miniature black oak right here. Pretty cool. All right, let's see what happens. There we are, looking up towards Garnet Peak. Right up there. And this right here is the lower hill right here I just visited recently. Kind of a nice little rounded hill. So now I'm rounding, getting onto the north-facing slope, and the chaparral's a little thinner here. So I might be able to breach it here somewhere. I'm going to look for a potential chaparral breach. I might make a beeline up towards it. I can see Quimey Point up ahead. And right over there is Quimey Point. So actually, I was talking about going all the way to Pioneer Mail. I think Pioneer Mail is north of Quimey Point, if I remember correctly. So I kind of misspoke earlier. All right, so I wonder if I should go for it or if I should round the bend. So I got to look to see where peak 5480 is. That should be around here somewhere as well. Look for that. Right over there. That's another peak 5680 that I climbed from Quimey Point in 2022. So the chaparral's definitely thinner, but it's definitely a bushwhack type situation. So let's see. Well, I have to double around. Maybe I'll get lucky and peak 5480 will be okay. So let's see. Oh, wait a minute. What we got going on here? Ooh. This might be good. Maybe. I might have found a route. I think I might be able to go up this way. Let me see. And I might be able to do, this might be doable. Well, let me go out to my furthest point So my turnaround point should be this one here, peak 5480. So I am going to consider this. But if I see a sunnier route, more open on this side, I'll go for it from here. I believe 5480 is one of these mounds over here. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm getting to a point where the exposure is changing again. So I might be able to find a wading route instead of a bushwhacking route. So I'll keep you posted. And I'm going to correct myself one more time. Pioneer Mail should be the one down there. So Pioneer Mail is closer. So I'm actually fairly close to Pioneer Mail. So I guess I got a little less confident about my directional knowledge. But yeah, Pioneer Mail picnic area is down there somewhere behind the fold. That used to be Sunrise Highway, but now it uses part of the PCT. So it's a dirt road. It used to be a bypass until it was deemed too dangerous. So Climbing Point is over there. That's Garnet Mountain. See, I was on Garnet Peak today, but that right there is Garnet Mountain. And there's its nearly equivalent peak 5680, because they're both about the same. And that peak there is peak 5764. That one right there in the center. I did that hike back in January last year, almost a year ago. A little bit more than a year ago. And then there's Pine Mountain. So yeah, Pioneer Mail is down there. So yeah, we are pretty close to Pioneer Mail. So I was right the first time. All right. Keep you updated. I'm going to start looking for Hill 5480 and see what the logistics are of getting up there. All right, so I'm looking back over there. That's towards peak 5661, and I'm suspecting peak 5480 is over here. So I'm trying to see where I should leave the trail. I'm believing this is it. I'm going to follow the PCT around the side of it for a little bit and see what's going on. I think this is going to be it. I'm just going to follow it around just a little bit and see where it leads. So yeah, that's looking back towards peak 5661. That's looking over towards one of the subsidiary peaks of Garnet. And over there, I can see the first peak I climbed. Right over there. It's peak 5680. And there's peak 50. That's Monument Peak over there, but below it is peak 5552, which I failed to find a good route to get up there from where I've been hiking. But I might be able to find I think I might have found some breachy areas. Maybe I can get up to this one here. I'm going to go a little bit further along and see first of all, and then I'll likely take action from there. So I'll keep you posted as usual, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so looking back at peak 5661, and I've been continuing along the PCT at a slight downhill angle for a while. I'm looking at this little breach here. This might be where I want to leave the trail. I saw another spot probably about a fifth to a quarter of a mile back that also looked good. But I'm going to go leave the trail here, right near this little swale. Let's see if this will get me up. Looks like there's a game trail up here. Starting off pretty good so far. So I'm going to go ahead and head up this way. I think this is going to be peak 5480 over here, I believe. judging by some of the nearby higher peaks, this one kind of makes sense to be 5480. So we'll see. We'll see how long the good is going. We'll see. And the top of the hill's over there. So I might be getting into some bushwhacking here. Well, keep you posted on my progress, whatever progress it might be. So far, so good. Should be nearing the summit pretty soon. There's not a whole lot of prominence here, but I think this is supposed to be the least prominent of them. Now, I've had to do some pretty decent wading in chest height brush. Now I've hit a wall, it looks like, I think. So I've had to zigzag around. Basically, I left the trail at a breach in the southwestern slope of the peak. Now it looks like I'm going to be going into a full bushwhack now. I think my luck has run out. So I guess I'm just going to go back up there a little bit and start bushwhacking, I guess. Looks like I kind of ran out of luck. So, all right. I guess I'm just going to have to bushwhack a little bit if I'm going to get to this peak. Okay, well. So this one's going to take a little bit of route finding to avoid the worst of the brush. I mean, I'm just trying to head up there. It's probably only about 50 yards away. So, here we go. Found a small wading spot right here. Sorry, guys. There we go. Just had to kind of push through it. All right, well, see what happens. See if I can get up there. All right, I think I'm nearing the peak finally. Yeah, this route coming from the southwestern side. Much longer route to get up here. I've been wading through this for a cool minute. For many cool minutes. I'm just about here now. Just about to summit another peak. I'm going to still count this as the fourth peak of the day. Fourth full peak. The last two were more like subsidiary hills or mounds. Again, doesn't take away from how awesome they were. They all offer a unique perspective of the area. Let me see. All right. This appears to be it. However, there's a really similarly elevated point over there. But I believe this is a little higher. Yeah. This is a little higher here. Just a little bit. So here we are, peak 5480. So this is my fourth significant peak climb of the day. Pretty cool. So a quick little 360. There's Garnet Peak way up there, looking towards the south. Looking towards the east, actually, more towards the east. And there's peak 5661, which I still haven't found an appropriate route to get up there, or at least I know is great. There's a possibility around the turn of the bend over there. Okay, northeast, north towards Garnet Mountain in the center. Peak 5680 over there. Peak 5764. Swinging around to the west, and then back to the south. So yes, it looks like this hill's a little bit higher than the little mound over there. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm gonna see if I can take a more direct route to get back to the PCT, so then I can start working my way back. So I'm gonna have to climb up over that to get around. So I'm gonna get a summit selfie. I don't know if I should go over there. I'll get one over here and I'll get one over there. So I'm nearing this other bump here. I'm beginning to think they're going to be pretty close in elevation. So, as a fairly obsessed completist, I'm going for it. Now, I may get pretty obsessive about finding the high point. If it involves hiking, wading, sometimes bushwhacking, and some minor to moderate rock scrambling. If it comes to mountaineering, I'm not really versed in that, so yeah, that's where I'm lax about my rule. This point actually looks higher. I think it is. Yeah. So when I was over there, this looked like this would be close to the same. So I figured by default, may as well visit both of them. Now all I gotta do is try to cut back to the PCT, see if I can get down the other side, and hopefully I can get back. I'm trying to see what time it is right now. It's 2:15 right now. It's 2:15. So I only have a couple hours of daylight. We'll see. We'll see. Good views up here, I'll tell you that. All right, well, I'll take another summit selfie over here. Should be getting back to the PCT pretty soon. Started seeing a section of the PCT over on that side, and I was thinking to myself, I don't know, it looks like there's going to be a lot of bushwhacking to get to that. So I kind of started aiming more closely along the lines of where I came up. So I'm back on this somewhat bit of a game trail here. Or not even game trail, this is just a little passage in the chaparral. That's a lot of wading, a lot of minor to moderate wading to get over here. But I believe I'm just about back at the PCT. So here we are. So now I got to start hiking uphill to get around peak 5661. So yeah, this is basically where I left the trail earlier. So I'm pretty much back. So now I'm going to go hiking uphill and work my way around peak 5661. Now, being that it's about 2:30 right now in the middle of winter, I got to start thinking, should I go for the extra peaks or not? So I do have a pair of headlamps, and I'll be returning back on trail and possibly on a portion of Sunrise Highway, so I do have a good plan, especially if I want to hit peak 5552. I'll probably want to go down the Garnet Peak Trail towards Sunrise Highway and try to see if I can find a quick route to get up there. Otherwise, I might just omit that one. I don't know about this one yet. I did see a potential way to get up there once you round the bend, a little past the bend. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated. All right, so I'm about to crest the trail. I think I'm near where I was considering making a climb up to 56, 61. I think it was over here somewhere, right near this rocky outcropping. I was going to consider trying to make a run at it. So, wondering if I should. I don't know. I'm tempted. I think I'm going to just take a short break here. I'm thinking about it, but I'm going to take a short break right at this little rocky outcropping here. I'm actually starting to get tired now. Done a lot of off-trail today. I was looking down, looks like towards Cottonwood Canyon. Right down there. Cottonwood Canyon. Good views down there. I see an old dirt track down there. I wonder if a climb up the lagunas would be possible with that. But yeah, and there's Garnet Mountain right here in the foreground. I wanted to climb up that one too. Probably from the Cool Canyon Trailhead. And that's gonna be a lot of gully, walking, scrambling to get up there. And a lot of elevation gain, much more than I'm doing today. All right, well, I'm gonna take a break, get a sip of water, and make a game time decision whether I want to go for this or not. I do see some rocky breaches here that could potentially get me there, but I'll have to see. All right, I think I'm gonna go for it. It's about 2:40 in the afternoon right now. Just check my phone. 2:40. All right, so let's see if this route ends up turning into a major bushwhack. I'm gonna nix it. Let me see. So I'm going up what looks like basically the north slope of this. So when I do run into chaparral, it's probably going to be thick and luxuriant. So maybe if I follow these rocky spots, maybe I'll get lucky. So we'll see. Yep, going for another off-trail excursion. We'll see how far up this I get. This I can't guarantee. But I'll give it a moderate amount of effort. If it ends up being ridiculous, then I will turn around. I can always find another way next time. Well, we'll see. But you need to get up here. So far, so good. I got caught on one branch that ripped my shirt a little bit. So far, been able to follow this rocky spot. It's a little steep, especially after the amount of off-trail I've done today. So far, this is not bad. This direction is working for me. Very good so far. And the slope's not as steep here, so maybe I just might make it. Maybe. Let's see. Pretty nice to walk up here. All right. Let's see. I think I spoke a little too soon. Getting closer to the higher parts of this. And now it has turned into a bushwhack. Now we're bushwhacking. Well, just that one spot. Actually, not too bad. Not too bad, actually, getting up here. I gotta admit. Coming up the way I came up, the north-facing slope, actually seems to be the way. Normally the north-facing slope is where all the chaparral is. Thicker chaparral. But now it's turning into a wade again, so not too bad. All right, hopefully see you at the summit soon. I'm already just about at the summit. All right, this is a shorter walk than getting to Peak 5480. Less off trail, steeper because it's got more prominence, but just about at the summit right now. Crazy is that? I don't think this one's on Peak Bagger, if I remember correctly. A couple of these are 55 or 5663, 5680. But here we are, Peak 5661. Peaked at my 5th full summit of the day. My 4th more prominent one. I had 2 or 3 lesser prominent ones. So this is actually the 7th hill I've climbed, including 3 less prominent ones. So, all right, looking back towards Garnet Peak, looking south or southeast, east towards Whale Peak, Nancy Borrego, north towards Granite Mountain, Santa Rosa's, San Jacinto's, northwest towards Vulcans, Garnet Mountain, Cuyamaca is in the background, swinging around to the west, and then back to the south towards Monument Peak. All right, this was pretty good. All right. Alright, so I'm going to try to just return to the PCT the way I came, because all on this side the chaparral is really thick and dense on the east slope. So I'm going to try to avoid that and just head roughly the way I came, which is entitled only a small amount of bushwhacking and a pretty high amount of wading. So I'm going to start heading back to the PCT. And then maybe I still have a chance of getting up to 55, 52 if I can find a viable wading route to get up there as opposed to bushwhack. All right, see you back at the PCT. So I know I'm along the route I came up because the route I came up, it started out pretty rocky like this. So there might be a few minor scrambling sections. Very basic. Most of it's just walking on slabs and stepping over knee-high rocks. So it's really not much of a class 2 element. It's borderline maybe. But really, if you decide to climb a peak like this one, leave the trail near that rocky outcropping I showed you. As the trail crests, as the PCT starts going downhill in both directions. So basically at the crest is where you're going to leave the trail if you want to climb up this. A doable way, that is. All right. Now I just got to find my way back to the base. I think this is where I got caught on my shirt. I think this is the one, maybe. Let's see here. So, yeah, you might have some very light, very basic scrambling coming up here. But my experience was pretty mellow. Starts off with a little bit of scrambling. Let's see. Am I here? Maybe it's rockier. Maybe there's more rock up here than I thought. PCT should be down there. It's pretty doable. If you're not a fan of walking on doing even light scrambling, then maybe not. This might not be a cup of tea, but for peak climbers, this is actually pretty doable if you find your route up. I just got to find the PCT, and I'm basically golden. So yeah, there's a nice rocky band over here. Maybe I might be on the other side of it. I'm trying to see if I can see the PCT from here, but I can't. Yeah, I think I went up around here somewhere. All right, well, see you back at the PCT. I can see my footstep right there, so I was just a little off track coming back. All right, well, here I am back at the PCT already. It didn't even take me 10 minutes to get up there. Maybe it took me about 12. Let me see. When I was at the summit, it was about 2:50. I left the trail at 2:40, and yeah, it only took 8 or 9 minutes to get down here. It's 3 o'clock right now. All right, well, this is near where the trail crests, I think, or maybe I'm tripping. So yeah, when you round the bend, you start going around the other side of the mountain. As we look for that rocky outcropping, it's before the trail starts going downhill more in earnest. See, here it's just kind of just undulating. All right, we'll see if I get another peek in before the end of this day. All right, so I'm nearing the saddle between 55-52 and Garnet Peak. So I'm coming up on the Garnet Peak Trail pretty soon. So I'm going to be banking a right to go down Garnet Peak Trail towards Sunrise Highway, away from Garnet Peak, and see if I can find a way to link up there. It's not a guarantee, but I figured at least give that a shot, and if that works, great. Then I'll just go down the Garnet Peak Trail to Sunrise Highway and just walk along the highway to Penny Pines. If not, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, I have now entered the Sunrise Highway direction, or the stretch to Sunrise Highway. Passing through this little miniature coulter pine grove here. Look at that. The trail goes right through the trees. I love it. Pinus coultery, baby. Coulter pines. Very beautiful, small, young trees. I wonder if these were planted as part of the Penny Pines Foundation. That's what I'm wondering. Oh, there's a trail marker sign there. All right, so I guess we're gonna go down this gully or something here. And a few more pines. A young one right here. So I wonder if these were planted, or if I bet you some of the older ones here, which are not old trees in any stretch, are probably planted. So I bet you these ones are probably coming up on their own, because these trees are already producing cones. And if they're producing cones, they're producing seeds. Ooh, this is beautiful. I'm glad I turned off to come this way. Wow, yeah, look at this. Nice little plantation of beautiful coulter pines here. How gorgeous. There's a beautiful black oak right over here. Look at that. Beautiful California black oak. You know, this one was a resprout. So this is the Garnet Peak Trail. There was my first peak of the day over there hours ago. Peak 5680. Oh, Western chokecherry's popping up over here too. Prunus virginiana, variety demissa. A nice thicket of it right underneath the black oaks. Yeah, this is the chokecherry, and that's the oak. Hey, here's a nice Parish golden bush here. These things can get huge. This is Erica Maria parishii, variety parishii. Parrish golden bush. These things can get huge. I've seen these things get up to about 7-8 feet tall. So it's one of our largest members of the sunflower family, the Asteraceae. And then skunk brush, another species of sumac that we have growing here, Rhus aromatica. It's a nice thicket of it here. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to give me a viable route, because this probably would have been my best chance, unless I found a way to do it directly from Sunrise Highway. But the peak's up there. But yeah, I'm not sure. So far from the angles I've seen it, it looks pretty insane, bushwhacking wise. All right, well, I'm gonna keep going through this, and I'll keep you updated whether I go for that or not. As we're coming down here, starting to run into basin sagebrush, Artemisia tridentata. I'm assuming this is subspecies tridentata, but subspecies vasiana does occasionally occur here in San Diego County. These might be the subspecies tridentata. Usually, subspecies vasiana, the mountain sagebrush, is usually a higher elevation. We're probably about 5,450 feet above sea level over here. So we might be a little too low for mountain sagebrush, but it is possible. So I'll have to double check the CalFlora vouchers and see what it says. But yeah, I'm looking at this peak. Every angle I see it from so far, it looks like a consummate bushwhack. So yeah, I'm leaning towards letting that go and just enjoying the Garnet Peak Trail. All right, let's see what else comes along. Yeah, pretty close to Sunrise Highway already. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and probably omit this. Thought I saw a fence up there too, so I don't know. There might be private property over there. I mean, it might be doable. I don't see any more fence posts. I saw like 4 posts. I saw about 4 posts together, about 100 feet back, looking up the hill. I don't know. Might be good on that. I mean, I did hit 4 substantial peaks and 3 smaller hills, so it's not like this day has been a waste. It's been a pretty good one, actually. So I don't know. Might be good on that. Might be more doable from this side, though. Let's see. All right. I'm going to keep my eye out for a possibility. If not, I'll see you at Sunrise Highway. Yeah, I've been looking up this way for a little while, and I see it looks like probably a barbed wired fence or something. I see more fence posts, so it could be a private in holding, so I think I'm good on that. Well, today was far from a failure, let me tell you. It's a very successful day. And pretty glad I made it out. So I replaced one peak I didn't get to, peak 5552, with 2 extra small knolls. So I did pretty good, I gotta admit. All right, well, I'll see you back at Sunrise Highway for a final couple of updates. All right, just about back at Sunrise Highway. I can see a couple of cars parked at this Garnet Peak Trailhead. So I'm just about back, about 2 minutes from now. I'm gonna turn left and head south. I'm gonna have to pass on the west side of Peak 5680 on the way back. All right, well, pretty cool. All right. All right, here's the shorter route to Garnet Peak. This is the trailhead right here. This is the Garnet Peak Trailhead right here on Sunrise Highway. There's the Garnet Peak Trail right there. You can see there used to be letters that said the Garnet Peak, but they've been faded over time. So right here at this turnout, with this little pole here, this is your trailhead if you want to do the short route up there. Much shorter route from here. Now I got to hoof it along Sunrise Highway, so I'm going to be going left, which is southbound on S1, to head back. So I got to hoof it along the highway for a little while. Oh well. See you basically when I'm back at the car, unless I find something interesting to point out on the way back. I'm almost back. I should be back in about 5 minutes or less. Here I got some big thickets of Utah serviceberry over here. Amelanchier or Utah-ensis. Nice, healthy thickets of them right here. More birchleaf mountain mahogany. But yeah, that's where the Penny Pines Trailhead is, right over there. And my car is going to be on that side. So I should be there pretty soon. I mean, overall, nice moderate day out here. I don't even know how many miles. I'll have to figure that out. So this is basically going to be my closing segment. Wonderful day out here. Hit 7 different summits. Four more prominent peaks and 3 lesser prominent hills. So 7 hills, 7 summits today. But I counted the main 5. 5680, 5663, Garnet, then hill 5480, and then peak 5661. So that should be good for me. I'm just parked right over there at the turnout. Awesome day out here in the mountains. Difficulty of this hike, if you're going to do the full thing I did, or close to it, it's in the moderate category. If you just go into Garnet Peak, it's easy to slightly moderate, some steep stuff at the end, onto the top of the peak. And then, fun factor, it's pretty high up there. Beautiful scenery, some place with some great views, beautiful chaparral, and some great vista points on the top of the peaks and along the ridgeline. So, can't complain. It's been a great day out here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next adventure. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.